Hello, and welcome back to the getwellbe podcast, a weekly series designed to help you learn, expand what you thought was possible, and become as empowered as you possibly can be in your health. I'm your host, Nolan-Smith, a board-certified holistic patient advocate and the founder of getwellbe. And today, I'm bringing you a brand new episode all about the little-known health risks associated with grilling your food, specifically meat. It's a short and sweet episode, but if you do live in a house with a grill or eat any grilled meat, and that includes anything charred, there are a few very important things you need to know that I'll explain in this episode. Before we jump in, I want to give a shout out to V. Mejia, or as they are known, who said in a review of the podcast, "I find these episodes very valuable. I like that it's based in research and science. The guests have lots of knowledge and experience in their field." Thank you, V. Mejia. I'm so incredibly touched by your kind words and that you get what I'm trying to do with the getwellbe podcast. They mean more than you know. So if you're listening, email hello@getwellbe.com and my team will send you a special gift in gratitude for leaving a review of the podcast and such sweet words. If you want a shout out from me or a chance to win a gift from getwellbe, make sure you leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. You don't even have to stop listening to this episode. Just scroll all the way down on your podcast page in your app and click Write a Review, give it a few stars and a few words, and then press Submit in the top right-hand corner. It's super fast and easy, but actually very important for any podcast, so thank you so much for doing it right now. All right, now, we're somehow nearly halfway through July, which in the northeastern U.S. means the halfway point of summer. And my family's been doing a lot of grilling and eating outdoors, which I love, but it's prompted me to look deeper into what happens to our food when we grill it. I'm about to share some pretty unknown and important facts that I had no idea about until we did the research for this guide, so it's likely that you aren't aware of them either. First, the primary health danger with grilling is the chemical process that happens when you combine meat and high heat, and especially over open flame. Here's the basic gist. When meat is cooked at high temperatures, like it is in grilling, it causes chemical reactions that release toxins into the air, onto the food, and ultimately into our bodies. The three major chemical compounds produced during grilling are, number 1, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, also known as PAHs. These are formed when fat drips down onto the hot coals or grill elements or open flame, whatever you want to call it. From there, they rise up through smoke and flame-ups and deposit themselves back on the food. The second is heterocyclic amines, also known as HCAs. When cooked over high heat for long enough, compounds inside meat, chicken, and fish from HCAs, which have been linked to breast, colon, and prostate cancer in lab studies of rats. You'll find HCAs in charred meat of any type. Number 3 is advanced glycation end products, AGEs. AGEs are formed from a chemical reaction that occurs between fat and protein when meat is cooked over high heat. Again, the technique used to make the charred meat we all associate with the grill. AGEs have been shown to contribute to inflammation, which is linked to diabetes and cardiovascular disease, as well as so many other chronic diseases that we've talked about on the getwellbe podcast. The effects of these carcinogens is real. One study showed that postmenopausal women who ate a lot of grilled meats had a 47% greater risk of breast cancer than those who ate the least meat. That's a huge increase in risk. All of these things make the challenge of healthy grilling even greater. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop with the chemicals. There's also the issue of aluminum, which a lot of people use to line their grills or cook certain items, such as fish or vegetables. In your everyday environment, aluminum is everywhere, as it naturally occurs in soil and water and air. But in these contexts, it's not a big deal because your body knows how to handle these small amounts and can process them and detox them out efficiently, or most of us can. But when you cook with aluminum, the heat causes significantly more of the metal to leach into your foods, raising the aluminum content to a level above the World Health Organization's acceptable daily limit. The effect is even greater when cooking acidic foods. Have you ever grilled acidic produce, like maybe slices of tomato or peaches, or grilled a lemon to then squeeze over your fish? This is all to say that if you're grilling with aluminum, it's probably not safe grilling. So the advice based on this research is just put food straight on the grill or use a stainless steel grill basket. Now, a lot of people who want to lower their blood pressure or cholesterol might think that grilling offers a healthy alternative to more fat-laden cooking techniques like frying or sautéing in oil. In a lot of ways, it does, but unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. Recent research shows that grilling over high heat can cause an increase in blood pressure, which can lead to some serious cardiovascular issues, including heart attacks. In the study, researchers analyzed the frequent cooking methods and blood pressure of over 90,000 adults over the course of 12 to 16 years, which is a really large study, so it's one to be taken pretty seriously. While none of the participants had high blood pressure or hypertension when they enrolled in the study, almost 40,000 of them had developed it by the end of the follow-up period. But just to let you know that there were women and men included in the study. Among those who ate animal protein, such as fish, chicken, or red meat, on a regular basis, the risk of developing hypertension broke down like this. It was 17% higher in those who grilled the protein more than 15 times per month as compared to 4 times per month. It was 15 times higher for those who preferred their meat well done versus those who like rarer meat. And it was 17% higher in those who were estimated to have eaten the highest levels of heterocyclic aromatic amines, which are the chemicals formed when meat is charred or exposed to high temperatures, as compared to those who consumed the lowest levels of charred meat. As Gang Liu, the study's lead author and a research fellow at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, said, "Our findings imply that avoiding the use of open flame and or high-temperature cooking methods may help reduce hypertension risk among individuals who consume red meat, chicken, or fish regularly." But don't despair. All of this information doesn't mean that you need to resign yourself to sitting there hungry at your next barbecue or giving up grilled meat entirely. The health risks of grilling are very real, but fortunately, safe grilling is definitely possible. All it takes is implementing a few healthy grilling practices next time you use your grill or head to a barbecue. Also, these healthy grilling practices will make your food and you and your loved ones healthier without sacrificing any of the taste or fun that we think of when we think of summer. Don't worry, the tips do not involve buying any fancy equipment or sacrificing your favorite dishes. All of the healthy grilling tips I'm about to share are simple and free, or nearly free, and will seriously cut down the health risk of grilled food for you. So here are 6 top tips for healthy grilling based on the research done for this episode. Number 1 is choose fruits and vegetables. The easiest way to avoid the carcinogenic, i.e. cancer-causing effect of grilled meat is by not eating meat. And with the abundance of summer produce, there are tons of delicious fruits and vegetables to throw on the grill. Try pineapple, peaches, asparagus, zucchini, yellow squash, onions, even grilled romaine salad. Seriously, it might sound insane, but it's actually so good. A bonus would be grilling broccoli, since cruciferous vegetables can change the way the body metabolizes the chemicals caused by grilling in the first place. Just remember to put everything straight on the grill or use a stainless steel grill basket rather than wrapping any of these fruits and vegetables in aluminum, especially if you're opting for any sort of acidic produce like a tomato or a citrus fruit like lemon. Number 2 is marinate. Good news, the best way to give your meat some more flavor might also be the most effective way to make it safer. One study tested 3 different marinades and found that all caused a significant reduction in the total HCA content of the meat. For example, the study had a Caribbean, a herb, and a Southwest marinade, and the Caribbean marinade had an 88% decrease in the total HCA content of the meat. The herb marinade had a 72% decrease, and the Southwest marinade had a 57% decrease. So all of these are pretty significant. Based on these findings, the study authors felt comfortable suggesting that commonly available spice-containing marinades can effectively inhibit HCA formation. A tip sheet from Purdue University suggested using marinades that contain antioxidants. Look for ingredients like vinegar, citrus fruits like lemon, herbs, spices, and olive oils that will help inhibit the formation of carcinogens on grilled meat. Fortunately, these things are all easy to find and packed with flavor. So whether you're making your own marinade or picking one up, remember that the getwellbe non-toxic product database has some great clean versions that you can check out. If you don't know what the getwellbe non-toxic product database is, get over to getwellbe.com right now. Check it out. It's one of the most helpful things I've built for my community to make finding vetted, curated, non-toxic products easier and faster. Either way, you won't have a hard time getting it right. A marinade makes food so much more delicious and, now we know, healthier. Number 3 is go rarer. Obviously, I very much believe in killing off any potential parasites or other kinds of microbes in raw meat, but you don't want to overcook your meat. That's the point of this. The less time meat is exposed to very high heat, the less time it'll have to develop any harmful chemicals. If you do get a more well-done piece, cut off any charred meat. And if you're having a hard time saying goodbye to that blackened catfish or charred burger, just remember that those pieces have incredibly high levels of HCAs, which is the chemical compounds that cause high blood pressure and, cancer. So you definitely want to avoid them. Hopefully that makes it easier to cut those charred pieces off, and it certainly does for me. Number 4 is trim the fat. Because fat drippings are a major source of PHAs, reducing the amount of fat on a cut of meat will make a big difference. Skinning your chicken, trimming the fat from your steak, and choosing leaner cuts of meat help minimize your risk. Remember, if you're going to trim fat or take off the skin, you need to do this before you put the meat on the grill, since the dangerous compounds are formed during the cooking process as fat drips down onto the heating elements and forms the PHA, which then rises back up onto the food in the smoke. Number 5 is keep it clean. Clean your grill before each use to make sure you're not grilling over old fat drippings or picking up leftover pieces of char. If you skip this step, all of your other efforts at healthy grilling could be thwarted by a previous grilling session when you don't know what precautions to take. And if you're using someone else's grill, they're bound to leap at the chance to have someone else give their grill a quick cleaning for them. Just remember that how you clean it matters a lot too. Be sure to use a non-wire brush to clean up so you don't end up with leftover tiny fragments of metal bristles in the grill that would likely then get into your food. So to get WellBe approved grill cleaning supplies, the WellBe non-toxic product database, which I mentioned before, has WellBe approved grill cleaning supplies, plus many, many other researched and vetted products across 20 categories. So again, if you don't know what it is and you haven't checked it out, head to getwellbe.com and check out the WellBe non-toxic product database in our store. It's one of the most helpful things that I can do for you. And then number 6 is ditch the foil. As I mentioned before, aluminum foil is an issue. So put things right on the grill or use a grilling pan or basket or skewers. One other option is using a cast iron skillet. When cooking acidic foods, like I mentioned, a lemon perhaps, cast iron may even give you a bonus mineral boost of iron, not to mention all the extra flavor that comes from using well-seasoned skillets. Unless you know you have an issue processing iron or have an excess of iron, then you should stick with methods we already discussed. So you've got a lot of options here. It shouldn't be hard to keep aluminum foil off the grill now that you know it's not something you want mixing with your food. All right, so in conclusion, summer is a time to chill out, enjoy the weather, the food, the fun, the family and friend time, and not to keep a whole bunch of studies and recommendations in your head. So I'm going to make it easy by breaking down all of the things I just discussed into a few key things to remember. First, grilling causes animal protein, i.e. fish, poultry, and red meat, to form chemicals that can pose serious health risks, like cancer and high blood pressure. Even grilled fruits and vegetables can form dangerous compounds if you grill using aluminum foil or eat them charred. But you can still enjoy summer barbecues by following the 6 simple healthy grilling guidelines I just mentioned. Number 1, grill low-acid fruits and vegetables instead of meat if you can. Number 2, if you do choose to grill meat, make sure to marinate it before grilling it. Number 3, choose rarer, not rare, but rarer, over well-done pieces of meat or any charred meat. If you end up with a piece of meat that has charred elements, simply cut those pieces off. Which also leads me to number 4, trim the fatty parts of meat before cooking, including taking off the skin if it's poultry. Number 5, make sure your grill is clean before using, and make sure you use a non-wire grilling brush so you don't end up with microscopic pieces of metal in your food. And finally, number 6, don't grill with aluminum foil, as we just talked about. All right, everyone, so that's my short and sweet summer grilling episode. I hope that you learned something you didn't know before and are much more aware of the health risks of grilling, and know that if you are somebody who loves grilling with family and eating meat, that there are ways to mitigate these risks, and I hope you'll take them seriously, because I have now that I know. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and now I'd love to know, what is one or maybe two things you're going to do right now based on what I've explained today? Maybe it's buying a marinade or looking up a marinade recipe for dinner tonight, or maybe it's purchasing a new non-wire grill brush. I'd also love to know if you have a favorite marinade recipe you want to share with the Wellbe community, or a brand you love, or some great fruit and vegetable dishes you love to grill. If you do, please leave a comment on the article version of this episode on getwellbe.com, and you'll find a link in the show notes. It's helpful for the entire Wellbe community to know your takeaway and your insights. Also, while you're there, become a Wellbe Insider so you can get all of our latest content, special offers, and personal notes I don't share anywhere else weekly in your inbox. Plus, you'll get a free copy of my audio guide on how to feel the best you've ever felt and heal anything. The 10 things you need to optimize your health and heal any health issue, big or small, naturally. Even if you're the healthiest person out there, I promise you'll learn something you didn't know before that can help you optimize your health. I'll see you back here next week for another episode of the Wellbe podcast. If you haven't already and found this episode helpful or interesting, subscribe to the podcast. This way you'll never miss a new episode, and they'll be delivered to you whenever we publish a new one. And please share this episode with family or friends who you think might find it valuable and informative, or maybe family and friends who just really need to hear it. It means a lot and helps more people find the podcast. If you already have, then thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Once again, this is your host, Adrienne Nolan-Smith, and thanks for listening to the Wellbe podcast.